Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user ThoroughRay2007X. My 18 female pregnant sister 26 female thinks I was insensitive after I didn't accommodate her chair preferences. Can I get advice please? It was my grandma's birthday last Sunday, and my parents hosted it at our house since it's the biggest and can accommodate all of our extended family. I have two older siblings, my sister, 26, and my brother, 29, but they're both out of the house now, both of them married. My brother has a little boy who is 2, and my sister is 7 months pregnant. Dad and I got up early at like 5 a.m. to help Mom with all the setting up and the food prep because there was going to be around 20 people coming over plus kids. We removed the fancy dining room chairs and placed them up in my bedroom because Mom was worried about the kids getting stuff on them. Happened before and was a mother effort to clean. And we replaced them with the regular chairs we have for events like this one, but we did leave out 2 of the fancy ones downstairs for my grandpa and grandma, since they're both elderly and they would be more comfortable for them. No one batted an eye at this when they came over, but my sister had a frown on her face but didn't comment. By the way, it wasn't the first time the setup was like this and no one has a problem with it. Anyway, by the time my parents and I sat down to eat with everybody at 2 p.m., we were dead on our feet and I just wanted a nap. After the lunch and clearing up the tables, everyone was scattered around the house. A lot of them were watching the kids outside and I was helping my grandma to the bathroom. When we came back, my sister was sitting in Grandma's chair, and when she saw us, she got up with a huff and commented that we should have kept all the fancy chairs downstairs. I told her why we didn't, but she just rolled her eyes. After a bit, I was helping my mom bring out dessert, and my sister was sitting on a regular chair, and she sighed loudly and asked me to go upstairs and get her one of the fancy ones. I just looked at her and ignored her because by that point I had a headache. I was bone tired and was ready for the whole day to be over. She got up and followed me and told me again, and I told her again that it was Mom's decision. Take it up with her. She didn't want to. My brother, who was also helping at that point, also told her to drop it because he could see my annoyance. She did not like that and told him to stay out of it. After the cake was cut and pieces were making rounds, I sat down to eat my piece, only to have her take it away and ask me again, holding it hostage as if I were a kid. I suppressed the urge to smash it in her face and told her they're in my room, have her husband go get her one and to leave me the F alone. If it gets dirtied by the kids, then it's on her to explain to Mom. She perked up at that but asked me to go get it since he was eating cake. I was done. I got up, kissed my grandma and grandpa on their cheeks, excused myself from everyone and went up to my room and locked my door. My brother-in-law tried going up after like 15 minutes to get the chair, but I turned a deaf ear to his knocking. The next day, I got a text asking why I tattled to Mom when all she wanted was to be comfortable and I was being insensitive at our grandma's birthday. Funny thing is that I didn't tell Mom because she had enough on her plate. It was my brother, and my mom had apparently had a talk with her because of it. Even though it happened days ago, I'm still annoyed, but I also feel a little guilty and I think that I overreacted a bit. OP, don't even trip about your sister. She's just being entitled, and honestly, I understand her being uncomfortable while pregnant, but that doesn't excuse her acting the way she did. If she so desperately wanted a chair, she could have asked her husband, she could have asked your brother, she could have asked her mom why she didn't get one, but no, she decided to just bother you the whole day about it. And you know what? Fine, asking once is okay, but then nagging you all the time, taking your cake, that's just too much. No. It's not about her being pregnant, it's about assuming everyone should bend for her. So what I would do is just shake it off and next time just call her out on her entitlement. But most importantly, don't let her take your cake away. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. ERX says, love to you for helping Grandma to the bathroom. Being pregnant is uncomfortable, but if the chair she was sitting on was so uncomfortable, a quiet word with Mom about getting a different chair was what she should have done. Thousand That Biatch says, why did she not ask her husband to get the chair from the start? Why was that responsibility placed with you instead of him? I would fill your sister in that her tantrum was witnessed by many and you weren't the one who tattled to your mother. You didn't overreact. Her behavior was entitled and rude. Glitter and Gold 89 says, not the a-hole. Her husband, person who got her pregnant, didn't make her comfort a priority, and instead of asking him to get her a chair or just asking to your mom about it, she spent the day bothering her little sister who was already laboring all day. You're not the a-hole, but your sister was tripping. Pleasant Ad 4784 says, I'm on your side and I've been pregnant 3 times with high-risk difficult pregnancies due to chronic pain. I've had a number of prior surgeries on my spine for an issue with my spinal canal, so I truly understand needing a comfortable chair. I can't sit in regular chairs even when not pregnant. Your sister had every right to ask and in fact expect a comfortable chair given the discomfort she is dealing with. What your sister did not have was the right to act entitled or treat you the way she did. Is your relationship generally fraught? Seems like your age difference might mean she looks at you as a little kid she can boss around. Honestly, I don't know why your mom didn't think about putting out a 3rd chair for her ahead of time, or your brother didn't just go grab one when he saw the initial conversation. Did your mom actually not want her using one? And Opie responds, I think my mom didn't leave one out for her originally because the regular chairs are padded and comfy. At least we think so. They just don't have arm support like the fancy ones, so she didn't see it as necessary. But yeah, my brother didn't grab one because he still remembers when he was still living at home and the old dining room set before this one got dirtied and we had to hear complaining for a week straight. Probably wanted to save me from another one, lol. Well, everybody agrees regardless of the reasons that the sister was acting in a very entitled way, so I don't think OP needs to apologize for that. However, we do have an update, so let's move on with that to see how this story ends. Hey Reddit, it's been a while, and since I was asked for an update, I thought I'd give one. Not much has happened, but I did learn some new information regarding my mom and sister. So, after I got the message and spoke with my parents, I decided to send her a blanket apology. Just, I'm sorry to her message because I didn't want it to become a thing between us after I move abroad, and I wanted to leave with a clean slate. Mom and Dad threw me a going away lunch with just our family, siblings and spouses, and this is where it got a bit weird. Usually, we'd sit in the dining room since it can accommodate 8 people on the dot. 7 adults and toddler nephew, which Mom swaps out his chair for a regular event one. But we sat outside this time with regular patio chairs. Mom claimed it was because it was sunny, but she doesn't like the sun and Dad had set up an outdoor umbrella. Anyway, she didn't let me lift a finger this time and made that very clear when my sister and brother-in-law showed up. It all read pettiness to me, especially since my sister made a comment about the chair she was in and my mom told her that it was what's available in a very try me tone. My sister didn't try her, but she also scowled through most of the lunch and refused to interact with my nephew, claiming she was tired, although all he was doing was showing her his crayon doodles. She was very abrupt with him and raised her voice, which pissed my brother and sister-in-law off, and my brother then refused to hand her anything for the rest of the day. I realize how dysfunctional we sound, but oh well, it's what I was born with and I'm thankful for everyone regardless. Once everyone left, I asked Mom what that was all about because it wasn't subtle at all, and that's when Mom told me what's been happening with her and my sister. Mom had offered to help my sister out for a month when she gave birth, and my sister had agreed, but then she changed her mind because her mother-in-law is coming instead. Mom was fine with that, although I think she was hurt a bit, but she moved on. Then, my sister didn't like that I'm moving a whole country away, although she's known that I was since before she became pregnant, and she had complained to Mom. Mom shut her down because it's my decision and my life. Then, she started asking Mom to come clean her house because she was tired, and Mom did go after her work a couple of times a week for like 3 weeks, not consecutive. But then she realized that it was becoming a pattern, so she stopped. My sister had also been asking her to send homemade food and such since she was getting nauseous when cooking, but it was also a pattern, so Mom stopped. My sister complained about Mom sending my nephew a monthly plate of his favorite cookies. Family recipe and sister-in-law doesn't make it right, confirmed by my nephew spitting out every batch she attempted and wagging his finger at her. So it was basically tiny things that built up and had pissed my mom after Grandma's birthday. Is her behavior weird? Yes. Is Mom's any better? Probably not, and neither is mine for that matter, but I've accepted it, and I'm just glad that I won't have to deal with it all unless it's on major holidays now that I'm going to live in another country. As someone pointed out in my DMs, the baby will need a good luck Charlie. Wow, OP, your sister and your mom, I'm guessing your sister is upset because her probably in her head designated babysitter is leaving the country and her mom is not gonna take up the mantle. And yeah, that baby's definitely gonna need good luck with that, Mom. Still OP, safe travels and hope you enjoy living abroad. Take care and thanks for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user SQ1 Nostalgia. Would I be the a-hole if I extended my stay at my parents' house and missed my wife's cousin's wedding? My wife and I are on vacation in my native country. I lived here until I was 18 when I moved to Canada. My wife was born Canadian, but her parents moved from the same country I did. We have a 1-year-old daughter too. My parents still live in my native country. My parents and her relatives live in different parts of the country. So we landed at her relatives, I spent a day there, said my goodbyes to my wife and daughter, and flew to my parents. The plan was that I would spend 2 weeks at my parents', then fly to my wife for 3 days, attend her cousin's wedding with her. We would all fly back to my parents for a few days, so my parents got to see my daughter, then fly back to Canada. However, a couple of days ago, my relatives had decided to arrange a hangout for the entire family at the beach, huts booked and all. Some other relatives of mine that live in other countries are also here at the time, so it's supposed to be a good family gathering, but it's scheduled for the day of my wife's cousin's wedding. A couple of my uncles called me to ask me to change my plans so I could attend, and my parents want me to be there too. I thought of changing my flight later, so I'd be going after the wedding for just a day and then coming back with my wife and daughter. I told my wife about this, and I was pretty sure she'd be on board because even though she's very close to her cousin, I don't know her at all. However, she got really upset, saying we had a plan, that she wanted me to be there at the wedding with her, that she wanted good photos of our family. I tried to explain that it would mean a lot to my family if I could make it, that they don't make these plans often, and the wedding is all her relatives, a lot of whom don't know me. She got really upset, wouldn't hear of it, and said I need to be there. We ended the call. Would I be the a-hole if I extended my stay and missed her cousin's wedding, whom I don't know, because my relatives have planned a grand gathering and would like me there? Yes, OP, plain and simple, yes, you would be a huge a-hole. So your relatives are having this gathering that you would love to do, but you had a commitment to your wife that you would go with her to the wedding, particularly now that she's asked you to please be there, that she wants you to be there. And you trying to ask the extended question of, well, it's her family who don't know me that well and my family never does this gathering, as if you were going to find an excuse. OP, you made a promise, now follow through. That's it. There's nothing else to analyze here. And honestly, don't even think about extending it now that you have had the conversation with your wife, who's already probably pretty disappointed. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. OK Position 7403 says, sorry, you would be the a-hole. You asked her input, she gave it. Yes, it would mean a lot to your relatives if you stayed, but apparently it would mean a lot to your wife if you came to the wedding. It may sound unfair, but ultimately, it's more in your interest to make her happy than to make some relatives happy. You did have a plan. Did you not inform your relatives ahead of time that you would be there and when? Sounds like this all could have been planned better. Mistress Liliana says, you're the a-hole. Why is your family more important than hers? And Opie responds, it's not about more important, just that I don't know a lot of their family and a lot of them don't know me since we live in Canada. I'm not asking her to abandon the wedding. I'm just trying to say that I wouldn't be missed at the wedding as much as I would be at the family gathering. Night World Poppy says, you're the a-hole. You say she has family there to help, but not a single person wants to help watch someone else's kid while trying to enjoy a wedding. You and your wife had a plan. Y'all talked about it. You made that plan. But because of your family's last-minute decision to plan a beach day, you're going against your wife who has watched both of your children for the past 2 weeks so you don't upset your family. Your wife also wants someone there that she could spend time with when other people are busy. Weddings are stressful with a baby, but by all your replies to everyone, it seems like you've already made your decision. It seems like you just thought we would agree with you. And Opie responds, after my conversation with my wife, I realized I had to go because she was adamant about it. I came on here to know if I had a leg to stand on because it really would mean a lot to my folks if I could stay. So I wanted to know if there was a non-a-hole way for me to do that and maybe persuade my wife, but apparently not. I plan on going. I let her know and apologized for the stress. And Socks and Pie says, you've already RSVP'd to the wedding, changing plans so last minute because your parents and family decided to disregard your already made plans would absolutely make you an a-hole. The bride and groom paid for your spot and now you're telling them to F off. If the wedding was a few months away, they'd at least have a chance at replacing your spot so they're not wasting money and food, but not with it being last minute. So yeah, you would be the a-hole. Well, the community agrees that OP would be the a-hole if he just didn't show to the wedding, but he also let slip that he was trying to look for an excuse to try to get out of it. That sucks, man. Just follow through on your commitments. It's not that hard. Anyways, we do have an update, so let's move on with that to see how this story ends. I had received a justifiably harsh response to my last post, and I can't thank everyone enough for that. I realized I was being a selfish a-hole and went to attend the wedding. I had a really good time there. It felt really good to see my wife and daughter after 2 weeks. I was prepared to apologize to my wife's parents too for my reluctance, but fortunately she hadn't told them I was considering not coming during the few hours when I was undecided. I had to meet and greet a lot of people. My wife was the first amongst her cousins to get married, so I guess I'm the first outsider to become a part of the family, so I spent a lot of time talking to her relatives and got to know a few of them too. She's very close to her cousin, so she was basically what our equivalent of maid of honor is. She had a lot of stuff to deal with, and I was making myself of use by keeping our daughter preoccupied. They had planned a lot of things, family pictures, couples dinner with the bride and groom, and I was honestly in awe of the planning that went into it. I'd been feeling pretty ashamed of how much trouble I would have cost her had I not gone. She asked me a few times if I enjoyed myself, which would make me feel even worse about it. My parents were disappointed about me not attending the family gathering, and it sounds like it was fun, but I've realized nothing is worth not being there for my wife and daughter. Thank you all for the a-hole verdict. I needed it. Well, it'll be good for you for not skipping out on the wedding and following through, and it's actually a good learning. Just always pick your wife and daughter first. They're your nuclear family. That's it. So on that note, here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.